Hi, I'm Phil and I'm a late diagnosed autistic older adult. Just a quick video today. With some key elections approaching around the world, I thought it might be a good chance to look at how you might approach voting as an autistic person, regardless of which country or specific system of government your country uses. Now, at the outset, I'm not going to tell you which person to vote for, but rather look at some ways of thinking through deciding the candidate who might best represent you as an autistic person. Also, if you're interested in seeing more videos about my experience of being autistic and issues important to autistic adults, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. This lets me know that I'm not just talking to an empty room and helps get the message out to a wider audience by letting the YouTube algorithm know that people are interested in this topic. Before we begin, an important point to note. Autism is a spectrum of challenges and abilities. As such, no two autistic people will have the same experience or the same traits. Some people talk about autistic thinking as being a bit of a superpower. While that might be an overreach, there are some clear strengths in the way autistic people's brains work when it comes to cutting through the crap at election time. So let's explore how that might help us choose how we vote. So, straight off the bat, what are some autistic strengths that might be useful when deciding how to vote? Autists have a strong logical brain that is well suited to analysing claims made by politicians. Autists are often very good at seeing the details and breaking down the big picture into understandable chunks. Autists are honest and straightforward people, and often have a strong sense of values. So, how can we apply these strengths when it comes to choosing a candidate to represent us? Firstly, let's look for candidates who are honest. Work out where the candidate's motives lie and whether they are working for the people or for themselves, i.e. for power or glory or other personal interests. Do their statements and policies make logical sense? Are they supported by facts, or are they just out to make big statements hoping no one will notice their lack of facts or detail? If they make bold promises, do they provide detail in how those promises will be fulfilled, including verified costings? The job of political leaders is to make laws. So, do they have background in or a detailed understanding of the law? Do they demonstrate in their rhetoric a balanced approach to class division? Do they have experience in understanding the needs of workers in balance with the needs of business and how both relate to the economy? Is there evidence from their past that they respect the law and abide by it? How about national security? The job of political leaders is to make national security decisions. Do they show evidence of being able to make decisions rationally? Are they calm under pressure? Do they tend to go on the attack first before talking through issues? Is there evidence the candidate will listen to wise counsel, or are they likely to ignore advice and just make their own decisions? What about religion and faith? If you are an autistic person of faith and you're looking for a candidate that aligns with your faith, do their actions as well as their words align with the values of your faith? If they make overtures about issues that seem to be fundamental to your faith-based values, do their personal actions back that up? Are their demonstrated values consistent with their words? For example, a candidate may espouse policies that seem to support Christian values, but that same candidate may be an obvious liar in many of the interactions. That would be a red flag, as honesty is a fundamental value in the Christian faith, and let's be clear, in other faiths as well. What about values? What are the values of the candidate more broadly? As a person with a disability, is it important to you that the candidate have policies that better the lives of people with disabilities? Does the candidate have any policies relating to autism, neurodiversity, or disability generally? Does the candidate have policies related to animal justice? What are the policies relating to issues of international justice? Will the candidate respect the democratic process both during the election and if they are successful in their candidacy? Will they respect the democratic process when they are voted out? which inevitably happens to everyone in government at some point. What are the candidates' policies for ageing and aged care? The health system? Do their health policies provide support for people of all economic circumstances? What are their policies related to caring for disadvantaged groups, unemployed or homeless people, people of colour, women, minority ethnic or religious groups, and refugees? Will all these groups have fair and equitable access to services and be supported to become valued members of the society that the candidate seeks to foster? Okay, how about vested interests? Does the candidate represent a particular vested interest? Does the candidate have financial interest in companies or businesses, and are those interests fully and openly disclosed? Will those interests take priority over the interests of the wider populace? Does the candidate have allegiances to other organisations that may exert influence for their own political purposes? An example here might be lobby groups representing fossil fuel companies, property developers, or political interest groups including religious lobbies or the gun lobby. I'm not stating that any of these are in their own right bad, just that those connections should be known and declared. Does the candidate unify or divide? Is the candidate a skilled diplomat, capable of forming trust relationships internationally? We often tend to think about elections from our own perspective and what the benefits are for us personally. But by taking the bigger picture into account, we may discover that the best candidate is one that can bring people together rather than seek to divide. And that may be a better outcome for all people, even at the expense of some specific issues relevant to us personally. If a candidate has a record of saying one thing because it might be popular, then doing something else because either they have never had the intention of doing what they said, or because they subsequently discover that it's easier not to follow through on that promise, then they are best avoided. As autistic people, we have a saying that goes to the heart of many of our values, and that is, say what you mean and mean what you say. This is something that I also expect from a politician who is asking for my vote. Finally, we have the issue of climate change. Climate change has become an issue that is likely to be at the heart of many elections as we reach a critical point of no return for the warming of our atmosphere. There are a few things to think about when it comes to judging a candidate's policies around the issues of climate change. If a candidate throws around facts and figures to make whatever point they are trying to make, are those facts and figures verified in the public record? If they quote some particular research, was that research conducted by an independent scientific body, and is that research peer-reviewed? By this I mean, has the research been done by a recognised climate scientist, or conversely by a company with vested interests, such as coal, oil or gas producers? By peer review I mean, have the research findings been verified by an independent expert team? One further note on this topic related to politicians who downplay or deny the importance of climate change. I've heard politicians in the past try to weigh their own opinions against established facts from climate scientists. Let's be clear, an opinion does not hold any weight against verified scientific fact, even if it comes from a Prime Minister or President. Of course, people can have their own opinions, but without the science to back up the opinion, it should hold no weight in political discussions. If a politician or anyone else tries to minimise the reality of climate change by using an unseasonal cold snap to say that global warming is a myth, then remind them that a cold snap is a localised weather event and not representative of the global temperature. In fact, the science tells us that as the climate warms, we will see more severe weather events generally, both hot and cold, but these events will become more devastating locally the more the global average increases. I could go on with the issue of climate change and the politics surrounding it, but you get the general idea. So in summary, when voting, it is about making sure you are comfortable that the person you choose to represent you is honest, has the necessary experience, demonstrates the values that you are looking for, will unify and not divide, makes good, rational decisions in the best interests of all, is not self-serving or power-seeking for their own ends, and more specifically has your own interests covered. Also, just to declare, in terms of how I have voted in the past, I have voted for both Conservative and Progressive parties in the past, but each time I try to take each on its merits, rather than just always vote a certain way because that's how my family or social group traditionally vote. So there you have it, a few things to consider to help make up your mind how to vote as an autistic person this election season. Good luck. Feel free to drop me a comment if there are particular topics you would like me to chat about, or even just to say hi. I would love to hear from you. And remember, if you want to see more videos on my experience with autism, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.